But then when you think about it also, a lot of people who get involved in the bodybuilding space do have a bit of an addictive personality. So even though people may be doing things that work against their goals, a lot of what I found is guys in the bodybuilding industry, they're on a lot of things, and all sorts of things, not just anabolics, but recreational drugs, sleeping pills, alcohol. It's kind of surprising, but then again, if you think it through, maybe it's not that surprising.
You guys do know that steroids have existed for thousands of years, and that's why they had leeches for bloodletting. They're just trying to lower their RBC count. Back in medieval times, they didn't have any way to get
ox balls.
Oh yeah, they had their supplements, quote unquote, and
really,
one of the side effects for a lot of them is increased RBC. So that's what the leeching was for. They knew what they were doing.
Oh man! So wait, what's the first steroid?
It was just test suspension.
They I think it was some dude in New York whipped it out of dog urine or something back in the late 1800s, and then he started injecting it into his dogs in like the early 1900s. And these dogs are getting big, so they were using this shit in the early 1900s. You think Babe Ruth wasn't on gear, dude?
You think so?
Oh yeah, that dude was all hooked up in New York with a bunch of. He was networked. He was juiced out of his mind, smacking that ball.
To use because it told me a weird answer because I'm on GPT right now. Talk to me about cholesterol and like carbon atoms. So I'm gonna to make it more precise. Who were the first people to use anabolic steroids, and what were they, and where did they get it from? Which dealer? No, I'm kidding. They use a substance.
Well, anabolic steroids is different from testosterone.
Yeah, it is. The first one was probably that.
It was first synthesized in 35, like a nice form of it, but
yeah. Well, I'm sure
they were dicking around with it before then.
Yeah, I'm sure they were like eating like testicles and stuff.
Testosterone was first synthesized by the Germans. Of course, it had to be the Germans.
Name Adolf. Great.
Oh, jeez, is that a common name back?
Yeah, it is.
Wait, do they still use that name in Germany? Like, will they name new kids Adolf?
Ooh,
or have they kind of like phased that name out after World War II?
I'm sure.
I think that name took a big hit.
Yeah,
I would have meant. Sorry. It's obviously funny to me, but yeah. I mean, what was the meth they were using? It was like it started with a P Percotin or Pervitin or something. You remember?
Oh yeah, the one Adolf was using.
Yeah. Pervitin. I had it right. Pervitin, a methamphetamine brand used by German soldiers during World War II. Yeah, they're all fucking methed out of their minds, especially during Blitzkrieg, man.
They all speed.
They all came down after they reached the end. They're like, oh God.
That would explain a lot.
Oh yeah. There's a video on YouTube of this guy explaining the story of this. I think he was I don't know if he was a Nazi or during that time. I don't know if he was a German or not. But he was like in the snow and stuff, and he was tired, and then his hands were freezing. He was like tired, falling asleep. And he had to like go home, and I think he lost himself from the pack or something. So he couldn't like open up the bottle. So he was like, oh whatever, I just put some in my mouth. So he ate like half the bottle of speed, and then the guy was away for 9 days. Fucking. He thought he was making like a fire and stuff. Then he was realizing he was like somewhere else. He was in full psychosis mode for 9 days, but the guy survived. He met some enemies in there. He thought he was somewhere in a hut.
Which showed me that video.
Which kind of begs the question: what do you guys think about the use of? And when I say performance-enhancing drugs, I mean that can literally mean anything, not just anabolics, but any type of substance. Like by the military, like say in times of war, do you think that should be on the table at their disposal for their use for literal performance enhancement during battle?
Yeah. Well, I think it should be used by anyone, anytime. So why not the military too, I guess.
Right.
I mean, wasn't a lot of them were developed for them for that reason? I mean, modafinil, if I'm remembering right, was developed as a use case scenario for fighter pilots to stay more alert. And so that's why that drug is so good, because they actually tried to make a good drug. When a lot of money goes into trying to make a good drug for a reason, the drug ends up being pretty good. That's why modafinil's such a sophisticated drug. It's really elegantly made, whereas a lot of shit's just real crude and just like it just comes out of the black market because it doesn't really have a good reason or a lot of things behind it. So, yeah, there you go.
I think all the cops and firefighters should be on gear.
What's your opinion, Evan?
I think well, kind of beg, hence the saying, all is fair in love and war. I think in war, sure, yeah, absolutely. Day to day, I don't know. I mean, like cops, things of that nature, it would probably be to their benefit to be as level-headed as possible and not take things that would increase their excitability.
Maybe TRT with like optimal TRT levels.
Yeah, I mean, but I
Yeah.
would assume, currently, if you're law enforcement, just like any other person, if you're low on testosterone and it's below a clinical level, you're open to, fixing that, which I think is good. I think that's beneficial. But in terms of using something above and beyond, what would be considered a clinical dose or a physiological dose, I mean, currently, when you look at the way that we're policing, I would say that would probably run contrary to it, because a lot of things, it seems like they don't want a lot of laws necessarily to be enforced. It seems like there's a lot of kind of, stand down orders.
They
So
want to neuter the police more than juice them
yeah,
up,
so
I
I
guess.
don't think it would really support that objective.
Yeah.
I think the answer is probably more complicated than people want to believe it is. Like Oregon recently, didn't they just repeal their drugs are legal thing?
Oh,
And
really?
now it's like, oh yeah, because it was god awful experiment. It didn't work. So now they just repealed it. And it's just like, can we find a middle ground, guys, instead of
Geez,
just
can't believe that didn't pan out.
oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, I found the videos and I sent it to you.
Yeah, it's a good video, but it's a long one, Antoine.
Yeah, I know. I won't watch it. I want to show you the cover of it. And it is perfect in that he took. It's he's a soldier from Finland.
Yeah.
So that's a good video to watch if you want to learn more about it.
Or the power of Pervitin, I guess.
The power, yeah. I guess you know what? They also have like they were using meth for like weight loss at first too. This is super effective.
I mean, a lot of the amphetamine type drugs, right, during the 50s and 60s, they were kind of doled out for that purpose, right?
Were they?
Yeah.
Was that their first use before ADHD or whatever?
I don't know if it was their first use, but I know that a lot of women, like housewives, things of that nature, well, like the Rolling Stones song, Doctor Please, some more of these. It was about doctors handing out pills for women to kind of like be everything, have dinner on the table, have this ready, do this, do that. And a lot of women were utilizing these drugs to kind of just try to be the perfect woman.
Huh. What year is that?
The Rolling Stones song, I assume it was late 60s. It was one of their earlier Stones song.
Yeah. It's about the time microwaves came out.
Yeah. Frozen meals.